What's going on, everyone? So today on Puddin's Fab Shop, we're gonna build a hitch for the Travelall project. It's actually a few days later now. I realized I never recorded an intro or an outro for this video, so I'm having to do it today. I wanna let you know ahead of time, I was having some software issues with my camera, and some of the video's pretty shaky through this video. I believe I got them resolved, so if you make it through me with this video, the future ones should be better, so let's get started. So I kind of have an idea already how I want to do it, and the first thing I'm going to need to do is I'm going to drop this gas tank out of here, which is easy. If you didn't see that video, these two bolts right here, we'll drop the straps, and they just kind of interlock up there. So I'm gonna drop that out of here, and then those bumper brackets kind of sandwich the frame down there. One goes on the inside, one goes on the outside. This bumper looks really good where it's at. I don't want to lose the position of it, but I do need to get that inside bracket off there. So I'm gonna, for now, clean up a couple of areas out here and tack this outside bracket on to the frame. That way it can hold the bumper in place, and I can remove those bolts and get this inside bracket out of here for now. And then I'm gonna clean up the inside of the frame to get all the rust out of there, where we can weld some material in there. The only thing that sucks about moving to the inside is there is a body mount bolt right there, but we'll probably just be able to move that right out here to the outside. No big deal. I cleaned up inside the frame, and basically what I'm wanting to do is I have some square tubing over there on the ground that is 2x4. It's 1/4 inch thick, and I'd like to cut a piece that overlays in here at least a foot, but is going to extend out towards the back. And basically once we get back here, we'll do a cross member at a 90 that comes across. Right here is the center of where our license plate goes. This area will end up getting cut out, and we're gonna just put the receiver tube right in there. That way we could do a hinged license plate to access it. So basically we're just gonna extend the frame back. This will end up being welded in. I'm not gonna bolt it in. So that may be one downside to some people, but it's going to be plenty strong for towing. Dumbass. Cut it and didn't blow a breaker. So I moved my other extension cord around to this side and finished cutting some pieces there. We have two pieces right here, 22.5 inches long. This is going to allow me to insert 15 inches of this into the frame, and the remaining 7.5 will be overhanging or extending out. And then I cut this piece, which is the width from inside to inside the frame rail, which is 33 3/4 Now I'm gonna look at this and figure out a way to kind of cut it where it interlocks, because I really don't want it just to butt up in the corners. So now I'm gonna take these pieces of 2x4 that are gonna go inside the frame, and I'm gonna clean them up around this end where everything will get welded. Where this is gonna sit on the bottom of the frame, we need to clean up this edge. That way we have an area to weld to. And what else, or the other thing I'm doing, is the overall height of the inside of that frame is 4 1/4. Well, this is only 4 inches tall. So I have some pieces of strap here, 1 3/4 wide, 1/4 inch thick. I'm gonna set them on top of this and weld them there like that. And what that'll allow us to do is have an area that when this slides inside that frame nice and tight, we should be able to put an overhead weld right there, tying it all together. So I'm gonna get this cleaned up and these two pieces welded on. And I just made a mistake. Not a big deal. This is 2 inches wide. The strap's 1 1/4 or 1 3/4, sorry. So I actually meant to kick it over where the rounded edge is right there. That way I could have a place to try to make the weld fall. And on this one I wasn't paying attention and I offset it to the wrong side. Not a big deal, it'll still weld. I marked these at the 15 inches, so now I'm gonna go get them clamped up in the frame. Looks good. We'll be able to get some overhead welds there, full weld the bottom, vertical weld up here. Of course, be able to weld the ends right there. This piece is just sat up here in place right now. Before I get too carried away on trying to get it squared up, because we are gonna have to weld this stuff up underneath here the way this is gonna go in here. We're not gonna be able to weld it on the table and then slide it in. But I kind of want to figure out how much of this cross member I'm going to have to notch out for the receiver tube to interlock into. And to do that, I want to cut out these holes that were behind my license plate so we can have access to look at that a little better. So I cut the back bumper and I was starting to square up the back cross member, and I noticed the frame rail on the passenger side kind of looked funny. And basically the reason for that was the top of that frame rail is not broke at a hard 90, and the way I'd offset this one, it was a hard 90 there, so it wasn't wanting to clamp up very good. So I came over 1/4 inch and just cut that off with a cutoff wheel. So now I'm gonna get it squared up again and get everything roughly squared up where I can put the receiver through there and get a good idea of where I can notch that cross member. I got that piece back in the passenger frame. I have that cross member going across there, squared up roughly. So now what I want to do is take this receiver and it's gonna hit it right there. I'm gonna get this rough marked because we are going to have to notch that cross member. And also remember that this is going to have to be behind this for the license plate to flip down, so we've got to get it further back as well. So there's my rough mark. That height overall right there is how much we need to notch it up. So I'm going to get us a center mark and some lines drawn and that notch cut out. So I took this piece after notching it Mocked it back up over there. Set this up in place. Everything was looking good. I believe I can get this welded up in here and plated up, and I will still be able to take this over there and get it all centered up. So I want to be able to do all this on the bench. It'll be a lot easier. So I measured over there. We're gonna come off the back 5.5 inches, and right there, we'll only leave that much out the front, and we'll figure out a way to brace it up. First thing I want to do is get this squared up in here and tacked up. Next, I'm going to come up with some bracing for the receiver. I have some scrap 3/8 plate, so I'm going to notch this piece off, cut it at an angle here, and hole saw an 1.5 hole. That'll provide us some supports and an area to be able to hook our chains to. So I took some 3/8 plate and I cut a couple gussets here. These are going to get welded on and will provide an area for our chains to hook to. And I cut a gusset that is going to go on the back side of this that will provide some bracing for it. So I'm going to get these things welded on now. It's getting hot out here today. So I did miss one thing. I didn't consider how far back that extra tube was going to come towards our gas tank on the back side. So I kind of just mocked it up there in place and eyeballed how much I thought needed cut off and went around there with a cutoff wheel and cut it off. Not really a big deal. Still looks good. So I'm finally going to take this thing over and get it squared up in the frame and hopefully tacked up. It's the next day now, and I want to look at adding the body mount bolt that we removed from up here. Now obviously this piece of tube's in the way, so I want to build a saddle that we can weld out here and move the body bolt out here. I guess it'd help if I looked at it. We can still use these bolts that came out, and this sheet metal, from what I can tell, has one spot weld on each side, and this is just a little cap for a nut that's in there, basically a little plate, so we can drill those two holes and even slide this thing over and re-weld it and reuse it. I was sweeping up the shop yesterday, cleaning up, and I picked up this piece, which is what we cut from the bottom of the 2x4 for the receiver tube to sit in, and it conveniently is kind of the shape I need to build those mounts out of. So we're going to try to use this as long as it's tall enough. I'm going to angle cut these pieces, drill a hole right there on top, and this will get sat on the outside of the frame and welded. It's marked center there, so we'll make two out of this. Looky there. Not so lucky on the driver's side as far as saving the bracket, but we could build these real quick. Those are just little slugs. This one could be salvaged. So I cleaned these up a little bit now that they cooled off. I'm gonna clean up the frame right here, and you can see pretty much with that inside edge right there matching the rear of the frame, we're pretty well on center there up top. So I'm gonna clean up that frame, take a piece of 3/8 plate here, which is just what fits in between there nice. Push that up like that right there and tack it on. So I tacked up the passenger side as well. Now up top, I stepped the bolts out, or the holes out to 1/2 inch, which is a little bit bigger. To be able to get the bolt started, I'm actually having to C-clamp this cross member down to the frame to close that gap because the bolts are so short. So this back is actually popped up a little bit, but I have it C-clamped down now. I'm gonna take these slugs, sit them down, get the bolt started from the bottom, and then I did whip up a couple of these, just kind of how the factory ones were, and I'll tack these on over the top of it. So and we got our body mounts fixed. Nice and simple. Made it out of scrap from our Hitch project, and they look good, kind of like factory. Well, I decided to change the shape and style of these other bumper brackets, and basically what's going to happen is they're going to bolt up right there in the factory spot, and then over here where that hole is, I'll be drilling a hole to add a bolt to support it. I did go ahead and drill the bolt holes on this side and cut the tacks on this bracket just to be able to show you guys, but since I am pulling the body on this thing, I'm gonna wait to do this side just because it's a lot easier. Got a lot more room to do it with the body off. So I think we're pretty much finished up here. So I'm actually pretty happy that I forgot to do an outro because my license plate holder came in. This is a flip up tag. Like what came on a lot of the older cars that had it. It says unleaded fuel only underneath there. It's pretty cool. It'll work perfect for this. And it was only like $18 on eBay. So I know I'm gonna have to build my own hitch that extends out far enough to have clearance for the trailer, but it shouldn't really be a big deal. I'm pretty happy with how this all turned out, guys. That's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, got an idea, maybe learned something, or can help you out in some way. If you're new to the channel, please check out some of my other videos. If you always come back, thank you guys once again for coming and watching my videos. If you want to help the channel grow, all you got to do is drop a comment down below, like the video, share, subscribe. All those things help me out, so I always appreciate it when you guys do that. If you're on Instagram, I'm on there at Pudding's Fab Shop, and I'll see you guys next time. But don't forget, sitting on your ass won't finish your project. I'll see you guys in the next video.